welcome to the Super Mater Brothers podcast, recapping episode 9 of the 43rd season of Survivor. What about the big girls, or how I like to say it, what about them big girls? I'm Jaemeel.
I'm Foster.
Yes, neither of us are Mater brothers, but we shall still bring to you the same Mater brothers experience as you've grown accustomed to. So, welcome to the show. We already got people in our chats chatting up a storm, right? Demanding, wanting to know.
Some people wanted to
Sam?
know.
Sam is asking, when is it starting? Now, Sam. Now. Okay, so unfortunately, Dave right now is currently on another podcast called the Hold Up Podcast with Davan and Murphy, and Jeff is currently in a backyard somewhere. I'm sure of it. So when he's able to, he will make it. But for
He
the
said
time
he's
being,
no. He said in the chat. He said send me the link.
oh, send him the link. Well, I shall send him the link then.
Yes, Sam. Dave betrayed us. I don't know where his priorities lie.
Yes.
This was a double banger tonight. This was a heavy episode. I don't know what happened. What happened there?
I rarely use Messenger on my computer, but for Jeff's
Well, how
sake,
about
I will. I'll get it for Jeff because I like Jeff.
Well, while you're doing that, I should say, well, here's the first thing I thought from the episode, Jamil, while you're figuring that out, is I wanted James and Owen to throw down. I wanted to see some fisticuffs. I wanted to see some battle, and they said tribal council later on, we'll get to it, but they said that they were yelling. Noel was saying that they were yelling. Well, I don't know if they were yelling and but like I thought they wanted to go at it. Owen did at least. He was like ready to prove himself. But James was just like, what's up, man? I didn't do anything wrong. What's up?
Which to me was weird in general. It's a weird take. Oh, and joining us is the wonderful and one and only, and I'm glad to see him, Jeff.
Hey,
Hey.
It's officially a Mater Brothers podcast because we got a Mater.
you got a Mater bro.
All right, so you Foster, you've already given your thoughts about the episode, kind of in what you were looking forward to. Jeff, was there something that you were hoping for this episode?
No, nothing like that stood out as far. I was surprised by the Carla Sammy relationship of it all. I didn't see that coming. So that threw me off, a little bit. I was surprised by that.
Um, Honestly, I'm not surprised by it. I just felt it was a one-sided relationship. It was Sammy kind of going, "Mommy, mommy, we're gonna do this, mommy. Is it okay?" I was like looking for her permission to do it. That's what I felt like. He was
It's
trying to
almost like he doesn't have anybody else to go to partner up with, and he's just like, "Oh, Carla seems like she's a good option because she was with James and Cassidy, right?"
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but okay. If he doesn't have anyone that he could really like depend on, wasn't the whole point of this alliance to kind of like cement that, put himself in the inner circle of it? Because the way it's looking now, he was worried that he was at the bottom of that alliance. I don't think he was. I think Cassidy was.
Yeah, that's fair. I think is that the right move to take James out here in this boat and leave Owen in the game with Noel? Like they could have also taken out Noel tonight, if they had wanted to. Carla and Sammy. They could have just went, "Hey James, vote Noel."
Yeah,
You
her
know,
name wasn't brought up. It seemed, or they didn't play it off that way.
no, and they could have also used the knowledge as power. Like she gave him the out to like, I'm going to use this advantage. He could have just taken it from her too.
If James went in and stepped in and said, "Hey, I don't want you to get the blood on your hands, so I'm going to use the knowledge's power to take it from you and do this move to get out Owen, so you still look good. You don't have to be the villain of this story."
Mhm.
right? Right then and there, Noel would have been, no, 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 it's fine. I want the blood on my hands, right? And kind of would have walked back that decision because, in the grand scheme of things, it makes sense for her to do that. Uh, if James just wants to be a passenger, and James does not give me the vibe of being a passenger at all.
He was
So
tonight, though.
he
You know,
was, which led to his downfall.
yeah. Yeah, he didn't take the game by the horns tonight, and I think that's why he ended up sitting on the jury. I thought he was, this is what happens a lot in Survivor is people get, at the top of an alliance and they think they can just coast. Like you even saw that with Cody and Jesse talking tonight. Like, oh, if we just get to here, we can coast, and that's not how Survivor works. You can never coast.
Nope. And from the looks of next episode, doesn't look like they're gonna be able to coast at all.
Yeah.
And that's why, um, you know, uh, if you're all watching this, I hope that you watched the episode. James and also Ryan are no longer a part of this game, of the main game. They're part of the jury, as juror number 2 and 3, and we continue on. So I took notes. So, folks, just a heads up, you're not getting sound effects. You're not getting picture screens. It's
No.
just us, right? That's Dave's
Bare bone.
thing, right? This is just the content. This is just
Raw
notes. This is raw
emotion.
notes. Look at those notes, right? That's what you're gonna get. So we start off with Sammy. Everyone coming back from tribal from last episode. Sammy is disappointed that he wasn't able to get enough votes to change the dynamics and wants to work with Owen. Sure, right? Sure. What we later learned from the beginning of this episode is that James was, talked to Owen and told him to vote for Ryan, and Sammy was trying to, inform Owen about the details, and James was supposedly keeping him from doing so, and eventually Gabler was the one who kind of pulled Owen aside and gave him the details, the heads up, to allow him entry onto the survivor voting bus that Owen so wants to be a part of. Thoughts, folks? Thoughts on this opening kind of sequence?
Go ahead, Foster.
Um, with Owen, once again, it's the same situation as the last episode. It's like I'm in the bottom. I'm gonna do whatever I can to like make a impact on the game, right? So Owen's not really making the moves. He's letting the game come to him. Jesse is I feel like in this episode he was like it's like it was up into him and Cody, right? In the end on their vote, right? So like Jesse's in a really comfortable spot, and he shows that in the next episode. But what I think is that these are two players that are not on the same level right now. They're not in the same point in the game, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Which players? Sammy and
No, I'm talking about Owen and Jesse. But for Sam, if you're talking about Sammy as well, Sammy's he's not finding his footing. Like he's trying all these different things, he's talking about all these different things, but he's not. Like obviously, I think that, I think he kind of spearheaded the whole James thing tonight, right, with Carla. But I feel like with Sammy, once again, he's still not. He's gonna make his big move, and then he's gonna get like maybe eliminated a week or two after, right? Like he's kind of like he's looking for his opening to do something. I feel like.
well, I think you're onto something because I think with Sammy, tonight once he went to Carla and was like, oh, I gotta go to Carla, I was like, that's a big mistake. Because you had the numbers, you didn't even need to do that, but he didn't want to blindside her because you're right, like he's like a little puppy looking for an owner. And but if he played a little bit more confident, a little bit more aggressive, I think he would get more credit at the end. And that's really kind of what you want. You want to get that credit at the end. You don't want to be looked at like, oh, well, you just, rode Carla's coattails or whoever, and that's kind of what I'm seeing from Sammy.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's just Sammy's giving me Xander vibes, where we're seeing him do a lot of stuff and talk a lot of game,
Mm-hmm.
but what I'm not seeing is people reacting to what he is saying, whether it be agreement or acknowledgement of that's Sammy's plan. That's we're doing what Sammy says, right? The closest we got was Carla kind of like, okay, I see what you're talking about, kind of response eye level back, but like what is he doing? You can do a lot of stuff in Survivor, but it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't necessarily impact the thoughts of the people that you're playing with.
How did James not notice Sammy asking Carla like which way do you want to go? Like how does he not notice that? You know?
He
And
he
Yeah, it was like almost too convenient that they were talking in front of them, and it was like the way they showed it. They're like, "You want to do this right now? You want to do this right now?" And they're like 2 feet in front of them, and they can't see the peripheral vision.
I think
But
James got his eyes got too big. And he's like, yes, this plan, it's gonna blindside Owen so badly. Owen's gonna be fooled, and he had that in his head that
yeah.
that was going to be the outcome, and as the pieces on the board kind of played out, he just only saw the one move and not the multiple moves that could have sprung from said action.
But like how do you not read the room like when Noelle's like, oh, too much testosterone and she's shutting it down? Like how do you not kind of notice that there's a plan afoot? I just don't get like how he didn't seem to read that tribe at all.
let's
You know,
let's vote now, let's vote now kind
yes,
of
so
thing.
now like all these different like there was clues for him to figure out. Use your power, take her, steal a vote, play it, and then maybe Carla switches her vote.
Maybe I felt like, honestly, I felt like Carla should have voted for should have used her immunity and saved James, because I
I
feel
think
like
it.
everything's that happens next episode in terms of everyone scrambling to take out the new, like, who they think is in charge wouldn't happen if James is still there. James was the primary target that everyone felt was kind of running things, and he
You know,
was he was not going to win, right? He doesn't
no.
have the ability to win immunity to kind of give him that runway, right? And there's more than enough gamers who would take over, like would overstep him given the chance. So he is not long for the game. He does not have the hardware of James, the skill of Cody, the social game of Carla, right? I didn't think he was long for this game at all. But as long as he was there, thought to be the figurehead, he was a perfect shield. Now both shields are gone, Ryan
Yeah,
and James.
that's true. Both shields are gone, and like a player like Jesse, I think is just going to keep sliding toward the end of the game because he does. Nobody looks at him as a threat. You know.
which is odd, I think. I really like Jesse's one of those players like that. He's kind of one of the more dangerous players you would think, right? Because he's not. He's kind of under the radar, you know. He's like not seen as a threat, but at the same time, he's having the conversations with the same people. He's got that alliance, right? So it's kind of obvious how it is.
Sorry, I had to slip those two comments from Sam in, which is Team Shamil for life, and that James is going to win. For those who this is their first episode of the Super Mater podcast, uh, just a little heads up, we got a draft that's going on, and the number one pick, James, was chosen by our commenter Sammy, a friend of the show, the the love muffin of Ellie, Ellie hashtag Ellie for second chances, uh, and if Jesse wins this season of Survivor, we here at Super Mater Brothers, or specifically Dave, will do a Gilligan's Island recap podcast. So there is skin left in the game. So, uh, message Sam and let Sam know that you're pulling for him, or that you hope you hope against hope that his dreams get crushed. Yes, that's a little heads up on our draft. Now, the next situation that we saw was that we went straight into the immunity challenge. So it was an endurance challenge with the added bonus reward of the last person who was left from a team. They got split up into two teams. Um, their team would get PB&J and would be the last group to actually go to tribal council. So the teams were split, and I messed up the split, but we'll see how it goes. Red team was Cassidy, Jesse, Gabler, Ryan, and Cody, and blue team was Owen, Sammy, Carla, James, and Noel. Um,
That sounds about right.
yeah. Now, in terms of order of elimination, Jesse was out first, which is the perfect place to go out first. And this time, I think people forget entirely who went out first in this.
Yeah, he,
This
he didn't even try. It looked like.
Nope, it wasn't one for him to win at all.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true.
right? People are gonna have conversations about, well, who's a threat to win immunity, and they're gonna think of Cody first. They're gonna think of Gable, or think they're gonna even think of Carla first before they actually think of Jesse, which is a perfect place you want to be,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. Fly under the radar.
Exactly. Then Cassidy went out, then Noel, then James, then Gabler, then Owen, then Sammy, and then Carla was the winner for the blue team. She
Yeah,
unfortunately
Carla was
was.
looking strong.
If she had both
Nice
hands,
upper technique, eh? That was like body weight down, leaning up, broken finger.
yeah, uh, it's work smarter, not harder. It was really good. Where you saw like someone like Ryan who was just muscling it out. All right.
Flexing for the big girls.
Yes, for the big girls. Then Ryan went out, and Cody was the winner. When you think about it, the top four, or even top five, or six, Gabler, Owen, Sammy, Carla, Ryan, Cody. Carla really sticks out there,
Mhm.
and um, she'll, you know what, she'll get a lot of credit if she makes it to the end about that. You kind of want to straddle that line, and the type of game that she's playing, especially with social being her major focus and strategy, a lot of people are not going to see a lot of the moves that she did. But if she has the element that she could at least hold her own in challenges, right, does very well for her in terms of her stock.
I was surprised that Noel didn't do better because I thought, you just lean on that prosthetic leg, you know, and you just. I've never had a prosthetic leg, but your leg wouldn't get tired, obviously, because there's no
Like a
leg.
kickstand.
Yeah, like a kickstand. You just lean on that kickstand, and then you just go like this, and then your leg never gets tired. You
Well,
know.
Oh,
I
jeez.
I figure that it still hurts because it isn't just like she has no feeling there. It's
Right.
her body leaning on this unyielding thing that
True.
sticks up and is strapped in, so there's no relief.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So I don't
But
know,
that's
like if someone if someone in the comments has a prosthetic leg and has experience, where's John Cartmill
John
uh,
Yeah, we need John Cartmell.
to give us the details about this? But I don't know. That's what I assumed, and I also think that she does not want to come across as too much of a threat. But she's gonna have to do more coming next episode because the was it the seal is off the rose or the bud is off the, I don't know the term, but you know everyone's going to be looking at her that she was able to basically mess up James because that was her plan.
Yeah,
And
yeah, she's gonna get the credit for that, I think.
yep,
Yeah.
so we'll see about that.
Although I think Carla also voting for James kind of takes that away from Noel too.
True,
You know what I
true.
mean?
I'm just keeping an eye on the comments. Okay, so the next part is they come back, they go back, and we see the split.
Oh, wait. Before by the way, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Way to spend $20 to to boost their spirits
Yeah.
in an immunity challenge. Nice job.
It's always the skinny girls that are so excited about that too. It's always like the sugars or the what was the girl that was on Heroes Villains? It's always the really really skinny girls that are like peanut butter.
Where if it was Jonathan, Jonathan's like, "Where's the steak?"
Yeah,
Jonathan
yeah,
from
yeah.
Where's the steak? This
Yeah,
Well,
where's
that's
can't.
the
what I'm
steak?
saying. It's just like everyone's getting super hyped for this. It's just like I know you're not eating great, but like I would have expected. I know they're gonna do a better meal probably later on, but like come on.
Look,
Anyways,
okay, you know what? Even speaking about that, I would still be annoyed by this because at the end of the day, sure, it's peanut butter and jelly, but I can't eat peanut butter and jelly by itself. I need to have something to drink
Wait,
it down.
wait, there was no bread? Oh yeah, there was bread, right?
Yeah, but there was like nothing to drink. Even if it was milk,
Yeah.
right? Give me something to. It's tough. It's dry. Like I need something to like wet my palate as it's
I
going
guess they have
through.
water. They
after
have,
two sandwiches, you're hurting.
Water. You don't want
they,
just water with
they
peanut
got
butter
water. Juice. I think juice would be an appropriate.
juice or milk or something
Some sort
or
of mango juice, some tropical juices. I think that would be.
something,
Yeah.
something, right? Unless you're gonna have a dry mouth.
Get a toaster out there, toast the bread. You know what I'm saying?
You're a toasted peanut butter and jelly man,
Well, not peanut butter and jelly, just peanut butter and toast. That's my jam.
so you wouldn't have any jelly.
No,
Okay.
I'd be upset if they served me that. If they only served me that, and I was like, if there's no just peanut butter, I'd be furious. I'd be like, are you kidding me? This is discrimination.
What is the difference between jelly and jam?
I think a jam isn't a jam. No, I don't know. What is the difference?
Isn't a jam fruit based and a jelly is more open to interpretation?
I think a jelly is less concentrated. I think a jam is like more more
Fruit-based.
more flavorful. Like
Yeah. Like jelly is in gelatin. I think
Right.
so.
So that might be the difference. Jam might have the pectin, and jelly has the gelatin.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sam is saying jelly and jam are the same thing, but we'll that'll be the deciding vote, I guess.
I don't think they are. I think they are slightly different things.
Sam, here's the thing though. Just because you believe it to be the case, because this traditionally is used interchangeably, doesn't mean somewhere, especially on Survivor, where they're gonna like, oh no, it's this and it's this, right? Where they can kind of get away with using that term, right? It's like saying cheese spread, right? It's like, it's not cheese, it's cheese spread.
Right.
You can get away with using something that isn't exactly it, but close to it or flavored it. But I think jam has to be used the actual, fruit itself, like strawberry jam
Right.
versus strawberry jelly.
I think it is different.
By the way, for me, it's got to be chunky peanut butter. Let's get that straight right now. I love that peanuts in the peanut butter.
What about natural peanut butter versus?
That's what I feed my dog. I'm not 100% peanuts. That's what I fed her when she was a puppy. My roommate has that, but I can't. There's not enough taste.
Jeff, I will do it only if there's a flavorful jelly. I could only do it with a flavorful jelly.
Okay, that's fair.
Right? I could do it.
You gotta stir it.
I wouldn't prefer it.
Amanda likes it. I like the good old sugar stuff.
Yeah. I don't have peanut butter and jelly all the time, so if I'm going to indulge in that, I want it to be, the real thing. When I say the real thing, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want the fake stuff.
Yeah. So, Gable and Ryan split off, and they talk about how Cassidy is next. They can say if Cody's going to be on board when talking to him because he has an idol. Sorry, they don't know. They know that they can't tell Cassidy that they're actually going to vote for Cody because Cody has an idol, so it wouldn't make any sense to vote for him. That statement there tells me one important thing.
That he has no idea what's going on.
Not even that. It states that they won't even pretend to mention Jesse as an actual option.
Yeah.
Right?
Why?
Right? Which is interesting, right? It says that they wouldn't even bother that. So we'll just tell her, right, straight up that, it's between you two.
The whole game, Jaemeel, Jesse has had some sort of bulletproof vest on that nobody can even throw his name out there. He's like Boston Rob without the hey, what you doing? You know, like I just don't get what they're all kind of scared of him. I think as far as strategically, I don't get it.
You know
No,
what?
you know what it is. Everyone thinks that he's either on their side or he's not going after them. Right?
Exactly.
The way
Well,
that the way that he's putting out there, right? He once again under the radar. It's under the radar.
Yeah.
He's flying,
and he's getting other players to fire the bullets for him. You
Yeah.
know,
Because the decision was really Cody and Jesse's, but the implications from what it seems from other people was that I think Cody made that decision, or Cody talked to Gabler about it, and he's
will
just there like eased back on the situation.
will Jesse write a thesis about how he used his gang mentality to win Survivor?
Who's his shot color?
Yeah, Cody's a show.
collective.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great strat to win, but you got to show your work at the end of the game, right?
That's it. That's true.
Right.
He is playing a lot like Adam Klein, like the way he played when he won. And I didn't respect his game. And everyone was like, "Oh, he played a really good." I was like, whatever." He played this under the radar, get to the end at all costs, but don't really put your neck out on the line the whole time type game. And I don't really respect that game. But
the problem is exactly that people might not respect it, and if the jury is in that grouping of not respecting that gameplay, you're dead to rights right there. There is nothing you can really do. So
yeah, but like sometimes like the that player gets all the kudos, and I'm always kind of like, huh? You know, but the thing is, we don't see a lot of what's going on. Although, do you know what? I have one thing to say about the episode tonight, guys. The whole thing where it's like, you've made it through 17 days. It's like, oh, I've been dreaming about peanut butter for 13 days. I'm like, if I played before season 40 in Survivor, I'd be like, these pansies. You know, like, try getting to day 27, you know, with like only a little bit of rice. Like, I don't know. I just think they're so pampered, these contestants, and I'm not here for it.
So, funny thing that happened. My sister came and actually watched Survivor with me, and I'm kind of making notes, and I say, "Oh, it's day 17," and she's like, "Oh, day 17? Man, they're not even at the merge yet." I'm like, wow, you haven't watched it about 3 seasons because they're merged deep already. There are already a couple of people. There's people in the jury, and she's like, "What? Why?" And that's the thing. Why? And I tried explaining about now it's faster, now it's less days. She's like, that's not Survivor. And I can't disagree with her. It isn't Survivor. It's kind of Survivor light. And
It's like Celebrity Survivor.
yeah. Oh gosh, if they did like a Celebrity Survivor season with this thing, it'd be even shorter. It'd be like what, 10, 12 days?
It'd be 17 days.
Ugh,
That's all they could take.
yuck.
Yeah.
Chris Kattan starts licking his lips. Is like, do I get cake on the third day? I've been dreaming about cake for the last 3 days.
Yeah.
All right. So, from that, they talked to Cody about the situation. Now Cody talks to Jesse and Cass. Cass, obviously picks Ryan, right? That she wants him to go. We get Cass's backstory about her family and her tribute to her sister. I honestly just kind of zoned out about it. Cass seems like a fine enough person. I just don't, at this point, I don't care about that. The motivations for each person to me should be the same, which is to win, right?
Yeah.
And
I just think they should do all that stuff pre-merge, and what would help if they had more days, to be able to do that, But I shouldn't be learning. I shouldn't be learning, 3 votes into the merge about your sister. And I get it. Like, it's tragic, and it has us learn about her a little bit more. And I understand all that stuff, and it was quick. And I could see how people would be like, oh, whatever. But I don't know. I feel like all that should be done before the merge, and then the game should speak for itself.
So I was trying to I was trying to understand how did they used to communicate this information beforehand, and the way they did it was they did it during confessionals, where they would
Mhm.
have the individuals talk about themselves. There would be no flashbacks; it would just be them and their reaction to their story. We would get the flashbacks and the details and the pictures when they went to
Reunion.
jury.
Mhm.
Not, they would jury. They would do a whole segment dedicated to them. I don't know if you, um, I don't know if you all watch Ponderosas throughout the seasons. I haven't watched any of these for the last couple of years, but that traditionally was the kind of this person is part of the jury and this is their journey,
Yeah.
right? And I've always liked it. I love the Ponderosas. I don't want Ponderosas to be part of the show, especially this deep, right? It takes
Yeah.
focus on what is happening because the motivation now is pretty simple, which is just to win, to get
Sure.
past this vote.
Yeah, no, they're not showing it because of motivation. They're showing it because we don't really know a lot about these characters. You're right, because they're not doing as many confessionals. It's all you only kind of watching them communicate with other players. So you're like, oh, what is this Cassidy really even about? And then they have to do like, yeah, these segments to kind of explain it to you. But like really before it was done through, the confessionals. And, the best players always, were the ones that had good confessionals, right?
So this came up last week on uh, Rob has a podcast, had an episode with Christian Hibiki, which was a great
Sure.
listen to. And in that whole series, they talked for 3 hours about the state of Survivor. One of the things they mentioned was in terms of communication of how things are happening on the island, they would be able to get all sorts of confessionals because they had so much time to ask these questions and to get that feedback. Now, with the episodes being a lot shorter,
Yeah.
when I say episodes, I mean the season in general being a lot shorter,
Yeah.
they're really pressed for time that if they did not get the reaction to something then and there, it's hard to circle back because the conversation isn't live, right? And he went on to talk about how they wouldn't go back to say, "How did you feel about something that happened 3 days ago?" But talk to it like it's happening right now. They don't do it in Survivor. So if they miss the opportunity, then that opportunity is squandered and they can't really have that conversation. And the reason why they specifically went to this conversation point was because they were talking about the whole J- uh, Janine's immunity idol, how it ended up with Jesse, and why was there a conversation with Jesse talking to Dwight to convince him to give him the idol? What was the thought process that came about that decision? And we never got that reasoning. We only got that Jesse said that he had it, right? So they missed that opportunity. Why? We don't know, but it leads to believe that if this was a regular season of Survivor,
We
right,
would know.
we would know because it would be a live part of the show.
Yeah, I think the I don't know why they decided 26 days. Like I thought, like even if it was 30 days, take 9 days off, sure. You know, I could see you having enough time, to get everything you need. But like to limit yourself down to 26 days, I feel like it's like speed chess, and yeah, they don't have enough time to get everything. Can you imagine doing a Big Brother season in 26 days? Like
It's
Oh,
they do it with Big Brother Celebrity, and it's kind of awful.
it is. It is actually. I would never try to substitute a regular season Survivor into Celebrity. Celebrity is just there to be a train wreck, and it is super disposable. I like unless we have to cover it, I'm not watching it. It's not a real season in my opinion at all. So,
Yeah.
mm. All right. So, um, from that we go to the other tribe, and um, Carla points out that James really wants Owen. Um, Noel talks to Sammy and Carla about it. Now, James and Owen talk at the water fountain. Our big confrontation. Owen gets frustrated at the situation and James' elusiveness. They come back to the tribe still arguing. I did not understand how how this was a good move for either player. I felt that James did a poor job of managing Owen, and Owen did a poor job in terms of communicating and trying to, like, what was his end goal? Was his end goal to gain James's trust? Because he wasn't doing that. Was his end goal to appear to be someone, if he doesn't get his way, he's going to confront someone and shout about during around camp about a situation that didn't go your way? And even James. Okay, so Owen proved his loyalty, right? And then what? Right? Why didn't you handle James better? Saying, thank you. I know it was a crummy situation I put you in, right? And you did vote the way we asked you to vote. You proved your loyalty. I was a little like, use the votes that he voted against you and kind of use as your explanation. You voted against me. I was unsure about you. So I understand why I wasn't forthcoming. You proved yourself, right? Now I need to do my part to kind of let you in, and let's talk through, let's work together, right? Build bridges. Why are you burning bridges? Is like, sorry man, what, it's not my fault. Like, he was not taking in what James was saying, and was just completely dismissive of about it. Both people played it poorly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see how either player came across well. But the sad thing is that Owen feels like I feel like he feels rewarded for what he did. I think he thought he was on the chopping block, and if he didn't do what he did, he would have went home. But the thing is, James probably would have went home regardless had that outburst occurred. You know, that outburst was just a microcosm of those two not trusting each other, and it just was, yeah, it just kind of got in the way more than really caused anything to occur.
Is James voting for Owen to win at the game the way that things are going? No.
No,
So why? Why? And
I think
I don't
I,
think anything that he's gonna do really is gonna change his mindset. I think James can appreciate what Noel did, but Owen hasn't shown him anything of why he should vote for him.
again, it's day 17 and Owen is at his breaking point. Like, these are some soft players. You know,
Well, here's the one thing I was wondering too is earlier in the season, were there like older players like closer to Gabler's age? Like because they all seem like they're really young players.
they're actually. I don't think so. I don't think most of them are in their 20s. I think most of them are in their like late 30s. For the most part on this cast.
Well,
I
Okay.
just imagine, outside of I think two people, all of them were women, and those women weren't old at all, really. So Ellie, Marianne, um, who else? Uh, there was a couple more women. None of them were really really old. The was it Heather? Um, the
Yeah.
the she was younger than Gabler, but she was more. She felt more like 35 than she was really 40 something, right?
Yeah.
So
Maturity wise.
yeah. So I don't really get the, yeah, it's not close to Gabler in terms of how Gabler acts. Sammy has some information for us, which is at least 31. I just want to let everyone know uh, that interesting fact,
She's single.
right?
That's what you need to find out, Sam.
Lindsay this season, right? Right? And also, Sam says no Ponderosa videos this season, which I am extremely disappointed about. I love Ponderosa. Um, you kind of get that resolution to the story with a lot of characters, because when Owen gets eliminated, there's going to be that confrontation of him and James, right? And they're going to talk out their situation, whether they like each other or they don't, right? So you get a resolution to the story. I like that,
Right.
right?
That's fair.
It
Yeah,
doesn't.
because then you don't really get to see them until final tribal, and then you really have no idea where they stand.
Correct. And also, with finale night the being the way that it is, like, they don't cover these things anymore, right? They talk to a couple people, they talk to the audience, and it's yada yada, everything else. This is the point where a lot of those storylines that were long running storylines throughout the season, play out when Cassidy eventually gets eliminated. Sorry, Cassidy, if I'm just assuming, right? There's gonna be that confrontation with Ryan about why they picked each other to get eliminated. Why were they going for each other throughout the season? That question is gonna come up. It's never gonna come up during finale night. So
Who has a better chance to win of my two remaining players, Sammy or Cassidy?
Sammy.
Cassidy.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's hard, right? I don't know who to go for.
Like, they're both not super impressive right now, but they're also like they could win, but they don't. I don't know. They're not like a Jesse or
Yeah,
Cody.
Can
I
they
have,
win?
I have three players in like the what I did anyway up until tonight in like the top 8, and none of them am I confident about. Or was Ryan, Cassidy, and Sammy. I'm like they're all losing. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel about it. Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. Cody or Jesse or Carla or I don't even know who else. Pretty much those three players I think have the best chance.
I did I at the end of the episode I did write down that I think Cody, Jesse, Carla, and I do think Sammy is in that top 4, just because he's actually it seems like the way they're setting him up is that he's actually doing something. Like, he's making the game move, right? He's having conversations that are productive. And so I kind of put him in that top 4 in terms of like socialized game. He's doing really well, but he hasn't like immunities. He hasn't like, impressed.
Noel would be, I guess, the other player maybe in that mix.
And she talks a lot of games. She like even like obviously Sammy had the big conversation with Carla to get the votes, right? But you're right. Noel was the one that was like, I want to use my steal a vote to like, at least it was a game move, right? It was just like to make sure James didn't use the power of knowledge, right? And obviously that's now what, like two advantages in a row that went out of the game without being used, right? So
I just feel like Sammy is in the Xander category where for us as the audience, we're seeing all these conversations, all these moves, and they pretty much were just done to deaf ears, and he's not going to get any type of leeway, or not leeway, but favor when it comes to final. In terms of like the idols and the advantages kind of disappearing, and not being used, people don't use people don't use advantages anymore. And when I say that is, once again, I'm coming back to the Christian Hibicki podcast where he talks about, he said, if someone had never watched Survivor prior to season 40 and they were watching it now, they would not understand the concept of how powerful an immunity idol is. Because when's the last time you saw an immunity idol swing a vote in the absolute other direction? In terms of people voted, idol was played, and the person who everyone voted for didn't go out. Someone else did.
It hasn't happened in this new format, I don't think.
Right? Which is what the entire, like, the second age, I believe, of Survivor was based upon, the power of the idol, and it's pretty much just a prop.
Yeah, I would say like there's kind of different ages. There's like 1 to 13, which 13 is Cook Islands or whatever, and that was the start of the idol. Then there's like 13, I think, to 40, and now we're in this new age.
I would say even before that, I think when idols became, I think Russell kind of broke idols, right?
Right.
And then it became just stockpiling advantages kind of situation. And up until I think Island of the Idols, and then it's just been about it taking a backseat to more making sure you split votes, and it's more strategic, but in such a boring way that
Trust clusters.
Trust clusters. Oh, jeez. So bad. Was that Island of the Idols, or that was the one before?
That was Second Chances.
Ooh, that was the second chances.
Yeah, that was the one with Fishback on it. Second
Yeah.
Chance. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just we're like in the third or fourth age of Survivor, and as much as I love this show, the formatting leaves a lot to be desired, and I think that's something that they should honestly rethink about.
I honestly think they made a lot of decisions based on like what made it easier for production rather than what that. I don't see a lot of caring about what the audience wants or what even the contestants would make it more interesting for the contestants. I feel like it's more about what the production wants to do.
News.
Oh,
So Sam
wow.
says that
Poor
Ellie
thing.
is married.
Pour one out.
Well, you don't know the nature of the relationship. They could be polygamous, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or maybe Ellie finds that the life that she currently has isn't satisfying in comparison to the life that she could have with you.
Right.
So, just keep working on yourself. Put yourself out there, Sam. All right. Rites of passages. How does people feel about that?
I don't know. What is that?
So the rites of passage to me was the just before the last challenge, they had the isn't the walk of memories kind of things where
Oh, yeah, where they remembered all the players or that they voted out.
yes.
No, it's so ridiculous though on day 25 to do that. You know what I mean?
Instead of now, it used to be day 38.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to the comments as much as before. Sam, occasionally I'll check over, but I've focused in on this conversation. See, when Dave is hosting, I could look at the comments a lot more, but I got to keep things running. Got to keep the show going. So I'm not ignoring you, right? All right. So, let's see. We'll go back to the Blue Tribe, and Noelle and James are talking. Noelle lays down her plans about how she plans to get Owen with the steal a vote. And then she turns around and tells Owen and Sammy about her true intentions. This is good in terms of her laying out her plan, but she does not realize how close this entire plan was to falling apart due to Sammy.
Yep. She might she's gonna think, why was that unanimous? Why did Carla vote our way? She's gonna wonder.
She should wonder.
Yeah.
She should.
Well, I think that what's going to happen is that if the next episode is as they portrayed it, right, and they're going to maybe try and go after Cody or Jesse, which I don't think is going to happen, then I think the attention could turn to Carla, right? Like she doesn't have James anymore, right? And I don't know how strong her allegiances are with anybody else. So,
well, I think that Jesse and Carla are together very close, and you can see that Cody and Jesse have a good relationship.
I feel like Cody trusts Jesse implicitly, and Jesse's just using Cody. That's how I feel about their relationship.
But is smart enough not to put himself in a position where that is questioned.
Yeah.
Right? Cody has Gabler, which is good. He keeps Gabler in the loop. Right? Sammy is just doing... I felt like he should have given Carla a heads up. But at the same time, him repeatedly going to her and having like a looping conversation... I don't think that did him any favors at all.
While listening to Rob Has a Podcast, Jaemeel, is there any talk about how Cody is like a southern version of Rob?
What, like Rob Sestonino?
Yeah, don't you see a resemblance between them?
I guess a resemblance is one thing, but in terms of attitude, it's like his cool cousin.
Their personalities are totally different, but they look so much alike, and they kind of like speak the same way, in not an accent, but in like the way they explain things. And so I don't know. I wonder if anyone said that to him.
I don't know. That's more Dave thing. Dave is the subscriber to
Right.
that patron. I always like this season. I've been taken aback by another thing that Kristen said. Casting has been really good. When you have like Cody's and Jesse's and Carla's, right? Even if you might not like her, Noelle is an interesting character,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I agree.
Ryan was interesting, even though like as a concept and not an actual player, he was like boring as hell.
Yeah.
Gabler is interesting. These are interesting archetypes and characters that we're seeing.
Yeah.
So I will not complain about casting per se of the show. I
No.
feel like a lot of these individuals are being shortchanged in terms of their time on the island to really showcase the personality that they're coming with. Because I think if Carla continues the way she is, she should be considered as like in high regard as the Cerise and
Yeah.
you know,
I agree.
right? But I feel like she's going to be recognized like Mama C. Do you all
Yeah.
remember Mama C?
Not really.
Exactly. That's what I feel like.
I think you're right. I think because the game was that certain length for a reason. It wasn't like an accident. It was because I think it helped them to build a full story. And now I feel like we're getting incomplete stories. Like with Marianne winning and who won before her? I had her in the draft.
You had her in the draft and you can't remember.
Vic- yeah, exactly. What was her name? Um,
She's from Niagara Falls.
yeah,
Niagara Falls.
yeah, I forget her name. Anyway, they're both Canadian girls. But anyway, yeah, the problem is like I didn't really get a good winner's edit. I didn't really go, oh, I see why they won. You know what I mean? They just kind of won by default in a way, because they got to the end and they had the best story of who was at the end. But it wasn't like they really built, like, compared it to all the other players that have played and have won, you're like, like, is anyone ever going to put Marianne or whatever her name was um, at the top of anyone's winners list? Like, no. Like, because they didn't play as long, Like, I
I,
think
I
that,
I feel like I could make a list of a good portion of the 40 plus winners of Survivor, and it's gonna get really muddy in the latter stages of this game.
Erica. What was her name? Yeah.
Erica, right? But am I gonna call Erica's name before I mention even Bob Crowley? I can
Yeah.
remember Bob Crowley from a not really good
Gabon.
season of Survivor, but it was a fun season.
It was
You
a
got
fun season. You had
less.
Sugar. You had Randy. You
Oh,
had
Randy.
Corinne.
Correct.
You,
Right?
yeah, you had some good players on that season that were fun to
Yes.
watch.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay. So Sammy then talks to Carla and tries to get her opinion, trying hard to make her see the situation from his point of view.
Oh no, he does the whole. Do you trust me more than you trust James? Am I your boyfriend or is he your boyfriend? Kind of type.
I love Carla's reaction. What does that mean? Why are you asking this question? Doesn't answer it. Just like,
Yeah,
why are you asking this question?
yeah. Smart. Because then he
Because
gives her the goods right after.
he's giving it up. Um, this is where my notes kind of just fall apart because honestly, tribal council is just way too long for what is being said. Now, I will put a caveat in. This was one of the few tribal councils where we didn't get Cody. Tell us what's an analogy of how things are going in the game and how it's like surfing, right? Ryan, how is the game like getting clams? Please tell us, right? And tribal council is like 10, 15 minutes long of just that garbage where they're not really talking about what's actually happening, right?
Yeah. No, tribals have been weak this year. Like
Yeah.
really weak.
So this was the first one that kind of had a little bit of spice, even though technically everything that was mentioned was already talked about before. You got the, Sammy looking at Carla, Noel getting absolutely frustrated the fact that we're still talking, and it's like, let's go, let's vote, let's get this done, right? She wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I don't blame her because Sammy was like, she probably saw Sammy doing that stuff. You know what I mean?
I absolutely figured so. I was like, Sam, you better not mess this up for me. I swear
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
I got those vibes. There's too much testosterone.
Yeah. Anything to talk about with this first tribal council?
Not really.
Oh,
No.
like they talked about the argument. There was the whole back and forth of, okay, do you feel safe, Owen? Okay, what about you, James? Do you feel safe, right? And they were both really confident, and that, and then even like it was funny because they showed like Owen smiling when he got his steal a vote taken
He
away.
nodded.
What?
Yeah, he nodded. Like even Jeff pointed it out.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, Owen, you're cool with it, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with it." And it's like, James, okay, whatever. And then, yeah, no, it was like, obviously, it wasn't 100% that Carla was going to go with them, right? Like, but once you got that third vote, it was like, okay, well, obviously, she went unanimous with Sammy and Noel, right? But
Well,
yeah, like James was pissed.
The
James
play-
was pissed.
the play was, Carla should have told James, hey, play your knowledge is power, steal a vote, and then we vote Noel out. That is what Carla should have done.
I would have voted out Sammy
She could have done that too.
because the reason why I do that is you have Noel and Owen exposed, right? Are they really challenge threats? Really, not really at this time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sammy is the one who's pushing for change, right? So you eliminate that agent of chaos out of the equation. Who does what's it called, Noel and Owen go to? Ryan's gone. Like they have little options to go to.
Yeah,
They either play ball or they're gone.
they could go to like Ryan, Jesse, and Cody. Maybe.
And they can decide what to do.
Yeah.
Right? But Owen's not going to last long.
No.
All right. So that's why I was kind of I was hoping that Carla was going to use her idol, but
she could have done that, or she should have just gotten the knowledge is power played.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like Noel was like, Jeff, are we voting? Okay, I have this.
Yeah. So nothing to mention about this. James gets eliminated. James is pissed.
Oh,
right?
he was mad.
So pissed he started to like gangster walk to the jury seats. He rips off his
buff
off of his head, and then puts it back on sloppily, right? Because he didn't know what to do. I laughed. I just crackled with laughter. That's like, you got him good. He said all the pleasantries is like, oh, it's a sign of respect, and they're like, yeah, it was. It's like, no, man, they got you. they
got you. I would have done the same thing. A smart move. It's like, okay, James, yeah, you're not taking this well.
His ego got the best of him.
Yeah. He did. He thought he had it in the bag in terms of like this whole vote. Owen's going home. That's what you get, and he got.
Yep.
Simple as that.
You always have to be looking for if you're going to get caught. You always have to have your head on a swivel.
I don't understand why. Look, I also don't understand why people sit where they can't see what's happening behind them.
I don't think they get to decide that.
I'd be like, no, I don't want to sit here, Jeff. Put me in the back so I can kind of watch.
Yeah.
Or on an angle so I can kind of see the tribe and see you.
I think they get told, like, in production, like, you will go first and you're going to sit at the far left one. But, that's the deal.
Yeah, it's planned. It's definitely planned.
I would be so paranoid. It's like, why do you want me to sit there? That seems
Yeah,
kind of fishy. I
I don't
can't
want
see
to sit
what's
there.
happening behind.
Can I sit with my back to the camera?
Okay, so we go to the next tribal council, and yeah, uh, they decide to not even stick with the plan because the plan was if James was gone, then Cassie would be gone.
Yeah, I was
And
surprised.
uh, Foster, do you feel like they made the right decision?
Um, no, I feel like they should have gone with Cassidy because like, as much as you know what, I'll take Ryan almost winning immunity challenges, but feeding me fish over the threat of Cassidy or talking, and working the game that way. I think that was a good opportunity to take Cassidy out with James being taken out in the other vote. But so what's their plan now, right? Are they saying that Cassidy is like with them? Like
Yeah, I think that was a mistake because if you look at like Cody and Jesse, Ryan seemed to be more tight with them than Cassidy is going to be a number for Carla, and I think if they could have eliminated both James and Cassidy from Carla in one night, and I think that's the way I would win, because then Carla's completely on an island. She has Sammy, sure, I mean, you know,
But Sammy is like that's a convenient type of situation for him. If he see the winds changing, I think he would drop Carla. But I don't think he's. I think Carla would is smart enough to kind of see how the winds are going even before that. Regarding Cassidy, um, Cassidy staying in a game brings up a couple of elements. So one, you have the possibility of the girls as a group voting together,
hmm
right? James is gone, so there's a power vacuum, and if that power is split over three ways, it's kind of a lot better, especially if you get one of the guys to vote with you, or two of them to vote with you to kind of, make sure that the numbers are in your favor for the rest of the game. Now, with Ryan, um, now I'm just trying to think how this season would go if Ryan never gets eliminated and makes it to the end. So he's gonna win immunity idols a couple times, probably for the end. Probably wins final four for fire making, right? And is he gonna pick? Is he gonna take? Let's say it was Ryan, Gabler, Jesse, and Cassidy left, right? I feel like he would. I don't know if his fire making skills are good or not, but I feel like he would try to challenge and win to make it to the end. So he'll let Cassidy get past because there's no point of winning over Cassidy, right? And he would probably challenge either Jesse or Gabler. And like you see where I'm going with this. I feel like his means to the end is to win and feed people. Strategy not really a thing. Social game also not really a thing. Is that a winning game? And if it isn't a winning game, why would you eliminate someone who isn't a threat to win the game at the end?
I guess if you're just looking at it like, oh, individually, I can win, immunity challenges, and that's one less person that I have to compete against that I feel like can beat me. That's the only reason to me to take out Ryan. Other than that, you're right. It makes zero sense. Cassidy would have made a lot more sense to take out because she's definitely a lot more savvy socially. Ryan didn't even know like, Cody had an immunity idol because he won the challenge. He has no idea what's going on. He doesn't care. He's like he had a bag of clams. How bad did that smell at Tribal Council? You know?
No, his black his power move was like, well, you can't eat from me, right? You say that before. You don't bring the food with you, right? Um, I just feel like Cassidy staying in the game, if you're a James or you're a Carla, means that if she's there at the end, that is a person who is going to be kind of talking about the role that she plays, similar to yours. A strategic, social oriented game, which is what James and Carla have a lot of the basis for in terms of their strat, right? So why
Which is
would you why
what.
would you
Sorry, just that's how Erica and Marianne both like kind of won both their seasons too. Is like very much like in the Cassidy role.
which is why you wouldn't want her to be there.
Right. Yeah, that's why you would want to get rid of her. And they would have watched what season 41 this cast,
Yep.
but not 42.
Yeah, they would um actually they might have seen parts of 42
Yeah.
before they I think 42 43 and 44 were done together. They were done in pairs.
Hmm.
Right? So it was um, after 40 it was 41 42 together and then 43 and 44 together.
Gotcha.
Okay. So uh Ryan gets eliminated, ho hum, and that's it. That's the end of the episode. Uh, thoughts overall of this episode's?
Yeah, I mean, like I guess like it was for a double banger. Like it was pretty good. Like it was especially after the last week. So it definitely picked up. As I said earlier, like I just Cody, Jesse, Carla, and Sammy. Like that's kind of like the top four, I think. Right? Is I think socially, if you will, right? Cassidy, I don't know in terms of like for previous right before the merge, right? How she was. So I don't know how strong her game's been. But yeah, overall it was and yeah, it was a good episode.
Yeah, Jeff.
Um, for me, I thought one tribal council was interesting. The first one, the second one was boring. Ryan getting taken out, I was like, whatever. Like even Ryan or Cassidy, I was like, that tribal council sucked. Like I didn't care who got taken out. I thought overall, sometimes I'm just like, I think they get too cute with the double tribal council. I'd rather the whole group go and then have to vote out two people or something. That would be more interesting to me than splitting them up. And I don't like all that stuff, not this late in the merge. And yeah, so I have problems with that aspect of it.
Okay, so hypothetical, if it was the entire group voting out two people, who's gone?
Um,
Owen and
I didn't get the first name.
Owen.
Owen and who?
I don't. That's where I kind of. It's tough. Maybe Noel because it's the easy choice. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
it would have been different, like, because the whole dynamic would have been different. And maybe then Carla does turn on Sammy and like, you know what I mean? I just think like certain things probably would have played out differently. Because there's just more people around and it's just, you can formulate plans and look at numbers a little bit easier. Whereas when you have like these small groups, I don't like it so much. I prefer a bigger merged tribe because then you get the big swings. You get the best tribal councils I've always found have been like when it's like 6 against 5, or something like that, or like 5 on 4, you know, and then one person swings, or or an idol's played, or something like that.
Okay. So, what we're left in the game now is Carla has her immunity idol. Cody has his immunity idol.
Jesse,
Jesse has Janine's immunity idol, but doesn't he also have another? Doesn't he have two? No, sorry. Cody doesn't have his immunity idol. Jesse has both Cody's and Janine's because Cody has not asked for it back at all.
oh wow.
All right. So unless that's shown, we're led to assume that Jesse is still in still in possession of both, and I think that is it. The knowledge of power is off the board, and as well as the steal a vote is gone, which is great because I did not want this season to deteriorate into an idle get in again. I seeing it once was like interesting, but I hate to ever see that situation again. So we'll see what's coming up. Another, it wasn't that bad of an episode. typically isn't this episode or the next episode a 2 hour or hour and a half special because of the U.S. fake Thanksgiving time period?
Might be.
Yeah. So I don't know if we're getting it. It didn't give me the impression that next week's episode is longer. We didn't get on a very special Survivor, or on a 2 hours Thanksgiving Survivor special. We didn't get that, so I assume that it's a typical regular episode, which is totally fine by me. I just do want to do some cleanup as well. Last episode, I did mention that two gentlemen would be eliminated. Dave did not believe me. I was right.
You were.
I was right. I was right. I did. I think I said two women were going to win immunity. There's only one. Sorry. We can't all be perfect, but I'm pretty damn close.
You were close.
Yeah, I was close. So overall, I'm kind of interested to see what happens next. Before we close off, I'd like to thank Foster. Thank you for joining us once again. It's greatly appreciated.
Always a pleasure.
Voice. Yes. Jeff, you're brilliant as always.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting there, Jaemeel.
No
Thanks, Jaemeel. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for a great night, boys. Thanks, Sam, in the chat.
Yes, thank you, Sammy. I call you Sammy. I gotta plug our shows. I gotta plug all the things. So, right now, people who might just join us later asking, "Where's Dave?" Well, Dave is currently on the Hold Up podcast right now with Davan, Skelhorn, and Chris Murphy. They're recording as of right now. They double booked. So when do you get a chance to hold up?
Hold up. What's the Hold Up podcast about?
Hold Up podcast is a debate show where each person shows a movie, picks a movie regarding a certain theme, and they determine if it holds up or it doesn't. So Davan typically goes from the perspective of older is better, and Chris Murphy is the youngin saying, "Nah, that kind of sucks, but this new stuff is still really good and will hold up over the test of time." So when you get a chance to check it out, this episode they were talking about, I think it was science fiction or in general. So they were doing, or is it dystopias? It was Logan's Run, Gattaca, and Southland Tales are the three movies that they will be covering tonight. So when you get a chance to go check it out, tell them that we sent you there, and eventually, some of us might be appearing on the podcast in the future. Never know. Next one up is the Graphic Histories podcast, done by Andre, where he does interviews with various comic book legends. I believe he did a recent interview with the Night of the Evil Dead writer. Great stuff. Very thought-provoking questions and dialogue that occurs. Please check it out. Andre is also with Davan on the X-Rated movie podcast covering X-Men, the animated series. They just finished the Dark Phoenix saga, and going to be moving on, I believe, onto season season 4 of X-Men, the animated series. You want to get on board. Start from the beginning, catch up, because it's going to be the perfect prelude to next year when they have X-Men 97, the new Disney Plus animated show continuing X-Men, the animated series.
Love X-Men.
People love X-Men. And you know what we like also?
It was brought too late in Marvel. But anyways, go ahead.
We also like Star Trek. And funny enough, we have a Star Trek podcast show, a whole channel. Right?
Say what?
Say what? Live long and podcast, right? Now there's various aspects of it. You have the locutors of Trek. You have regular, which covers recaps of all the episodes, so original series, next gen, uh, Voyager. Currently, we have D Space 9 at 9 that we host on Tuesdays. Mondays, we have Enterprise. And on Thursdays is where we do our newer shows. And right now, we have Star Trek Prodigy, which is on its part two of its first season. People are loving it. People are really digging it. You should check it out. Also, we have Star Trek Radio Theater, where we recap, well, not recap, we narrate and do like a radio play for old Star Trek episodes or movies. Just recently, they did, was it East of Eden? East of Eden? Sorry, not that. See, I pressed the wrong button. I was perfectly good up until that point.
So close.
So close. I don't know where that button is. I don't see it. But regardless,
You did a great job, Jaemeel.
up until that point is what you're saying.
You said it, I didn't.
Also, friend of the podcast, you have the Hellbound podcast with Michael Chan, Star Trek's own Michael Chan, and also Live Long and Podcast's own Michael Chan, where they cover horror movies and do a little recap. And all these shows are in a federation of podcasts, you would say, right? So you'll get more news on the United Federation of Podcasts coming soon, more next couple of months, or before Dave spills all the beans in the next show that he's on. And last but not least, I always like mentioning it, Sam Jerka, Paranoia, Super Smash Brothers Seth, Let's Talk About Fighting Games is the podcast where they just talk about fighting games. So you should check that out. Just look at your podcast catcher or your Spotify or Apple Music or whatever you listen to podcasts with. Check it out. Check out all the podcasts that were mentioned. This thing goes on too long. I don't know why Dave does it. I just go to sleep usually during this period.
Me too.
Yep.
But you doing it, Jaemeel? I'm wide awake.
That's it. Well, it's I don't have a script. There's no script here. All right. So that's it. Watch us next week for our next episode of Star Trek, Survivor. Tomorrow's Star Trek. And this is the Super Mater Brothers podcast. And this is our exit video. And I'm going to end the show there.